Hey YouTube land, it's Teknique here doing another action figure review. Now, I'm not in my usual spot at the moment, so I'm trying to make do what I have to do this review. And what I'm reviewing is a couple of the new Jazwares Fortnite figures. So I have this big set, which is called, if I just flip the box around, it's the Turbo Builder set. So this is the back of the box. It comes in a kind of window style box packaging. I'll try and do a brief showcase of it, but basically what it is, you get two figures and a whole bunch of these kind of building panels, and you have 27 wood, 27 brick, 27 metal plates, and they all pretty much look like this. So they all have this kind of, you have two kind of ports here, and then they have connectors for those two ports on either side, and they all have the same, they're all on the same side, and they have like a brick pattern, the steel pattern or the metal pattern, and then the wood pattern. So the figures that come in this set, if I just move my camera up a bit, is Raven, which is a brooding master of dark skies, and if you can just see that there, is Jonesy, no skin, no problem. So I'm assuming the Jonesy one is like a default skin for the game. I've never played the game. I just quite like the fact that the figures are in G.I. Joe scale. They're 3 3/4 inch. So if I just flip the box around, they also have a hashtag WallUpIRL, which is the, just bring it in there, it's what you're supposed to use to showcase any of the buildings that you make with the kind of building stuff, just to see which ones look really good, what way people are using them. So here you can see the two figures and the kind of building set again. So you have a good lot of options. So it's two figures, 81 building materials, 4 weapons, and 2 harvesting tools. So Fortnite is kind of like I think the game mode is kind of like a mixture of, is it player battlegrounds, or is it battlegrounds, whatever, PUBG as it's known, and kind of like Minecraft where you like build up all these buildings and stuff. I'm not sure if you have to mine for resources. As I said, I haven't played the game. So before we get onto the figures, I do have 3 other figures I'm going to be reviewing, one of which is Omgea, which comes with the early game survival kit. The other one is Teknique solo mode, it says. I'll just bring up the box there. So it's Teknique in solo mode, and Carbide, and he is solo mode as well. Now each figure comes with an extra one of those kind of building panels. So far it seems they all come with just the wooden one. I haven't seen anyone else with different ones. And for the packaging, they're all pretty much the same. You got the figure there, and the image of the figure, and the figure in the blister card. And then when you flip it around to the back of the box, bear with me a moment, I'm trying to, I only have a small stand for my camera. So you have Fortnite, Carbide, Heed the Call to Action, and then you have the other characters, which is Bandolier, Teknique, Raptor, which is the one I really wanted, which kind of looks like a beachhead style character, and Drift, which is kind of the, I'm not sure if it's a male or female character. I think it could be female, because they're both, Teknique and Drift are both on purple cards, whereas Carbide and Omega on orange with Bandolier, and Raptor seems to be on a blue card. So I'm not sure what the significance of the different card backs are. But Teknique's one says, Teknique, spray up a storm. And for Omega, I think it says that there can only be one Omega. So I'll review Omega and Carbide first, before we get into the big set. So Omega here, and Carbide. Now the reason I'm going to review the two of these together is, if I just move the stuff out of the way, is essentially they are actually the same figure. I'll just adjust my camera a moment. So what's interesting about them is, if I just take off his backpack and his weapons, Omega comes with 4 accessories, whereas Carbide only comes with 1. Carbide comes with one of these futuristic pickaxe looking things. It's supposed to be the, what do they call them again, the digging tools. Is it digging tools? Harvesting tools, sorry. So each kind of solo figure seems to come with just a harvesting tool, and Carbide here has lots of points of articulation. Everyone has pretty much the same articulation, but it can be different in the sense of range of movement. So they all have kind of ratchet joints for the shoulders. You can hear the pop of the ratchet. Can rotate around. They have a single joint in the elbow, and depending on the figure, they can get more of a 90-degree bend or less than a 90-degree bend. You got a swivel in the wrist, and there's also hinges in the wrist, so you can actually hinge the hand up and down. They have ab crunch. They also have a lower waist swivel, which is really tight on this version of Carbide for some reason. You can get a seated position. There's ball joints in the hips, so they can do the splits that much. You have a upper thigh swivel. You have a double jointed knee at the knee, and you have a swivel in the foot and a rocker joint basically on the foot, and the head is on a ball joint. There is a hinge, so you can actually look back and down, and it's also ratcheted. So as I said, it comes with the one weapon. Now, as I said, the reason why I'm doing these two together is essentially these are actually identical figures. There's the only difference is the heads, and on whatchamacallit, on Omega here, he has these extra pieces glued in on this section here, which are kind of like thrusters or some sort of extra detailing, but essentially they're the exact same figure. Again, the only other difference is the accessories. So you have the same neck joint, ratchets on the shoulders, rotation, 90-degree bend, rotation in the wrist, hinge on the wrist, waist, upper crunch, waist swivel, splits, upper thigh, double jointed knees, and the rocker ankle with the hinge as well. So great range of movement. So for weapons, for Omega accessories for Omega, comes with this backpack which can plug straight onto his back. I'm not sure what the backpacks do in game. I'm assuming they give you extra storage space, as most backpacks would do in game. Then you got a rifle. You can hold it in both hands. And then he has his harvesting tool, which is pretty much looks like a dark version of the one that came with Carbide, but it's actually slightly different. It looks very similar, has kind of very similar head to it, but it's different. And then he comes with an umbrella, which I think is supposed to be another melee weapon or something like that. There's a whole bunch of graffiti painted onto it. Kind of looks like a Japanese style kind of umbrella, you know, those kind of paper ones. But yeah, almost like the ones that they make fans out of. So that's those two. Then for the other single carded figure which I picked up is Teknique. So she has a removable hood, which is quite cool. Her head is still on the ball joint. Now I kind of stressed the peg out bit when I was trying to see if I could pop the head off to remove the gas mask piece. It's actually a separate piece, which you can be rotated around. But you could possibly, if you probably heat it up before you do it instead of doing it the way I did it, you can pop out that gas mask. She comes with her harvesting tool, which is a crowbar / paint roller. So you have like a crowbar taped to the bottom here, and you got a paint roller on this side. And then for detailing, she's actually quite cool. She has like paint splotches all over her. I can really see her kind of doing. She looks like a skater basically. She looks like she goes around tagging stuff with spray paints and stuff like that, which is hence the paint roller, kind of a nod to that. So she has the same articulation as the others, so the shoulders can go higher up than the other two because of the range of movement. You can rotate all the way around. She has a single jointed elbow, swivel wrist with the hinge. She has the upper waist crunch. She has a lower waist crunch, or lower waist twist. She has splits, which are a slight bit hindered by her sculpt. She can go into seated position, not too much back. She has the upper thigh swivel. Again, the dual jointed knees. She has rockers in the ankle and the hinge. She has peg holes. They actually all have peg holes on the feet because there is on the bases for the wooden structures. There's actually peg holes. There's none on any of the other ones, so you can actually plug her onto the base. So the included kind of building piece acts as a base for the figures as well, like a display stand. Whereas the steel and the brick ones don't actually have any peg holes on them. I'll try and do a showcase the little building stuff that I did. I made one kind of half wall thing, and before it falls over and kills everything. But I'll just see if I can dig it out and showcase what I did. So next figure is Raven. So Raven, when I first got this, I thought Raven was another kind of reuse of parts. You can hear the ratchets in the knees. I thought it was like a repaint and remold of Jonesy here, because he has kind of a very similar patch on his leg, similar to Jones, but it's actually a different sculpt altogether. So Raven's head sculpt is a slight bit hindered because of this cowling piece. It can go down a small bit and up, but it just more swivels side to side. His arms can go out a good bit. Not as much as Teknique's does have the swivel in the elbow and joint in the elbow. Not quite 90-degree bends on them. Ab crunch and the upper waist swivel, which is really tight. The waist swivels seem to be quite tight in most of the figures. He can go into a seated position. He can't really get much in the way back. He doesn't really get much in the way of splits as well, because of this kind of supposed to be like the lower part of his tunic or coat or whatever he's wearing. And you got the double jointed knees, which is slightly not hindered but hidden behind the knee plate or the boot plate. And he has the rocker ankles and forward and back. Now, I don't know if there's specific weapons for them. I think on the box it shows him using, is it the pickaxe or the... Oh, I knew that was going to happen. I was just lying up here. So if I just move stuff out of the way here. Just put her up on top of that. I think he's using, I'll just quickly look back at the box. Yeah, he has this kind of shock stick type thing, which is supposed to be his harvesting tool, which he can hold in both hands. It's quite a nice looking weapon. It looks like a couple of Tesla coils on a stick, which is kind of cool. Kind of is like electroshock, so I'm assuming all the harvesting weapons can be used as melee weapons as well. And Jonesy here comes with a pickaxe, which is quite cool. It also comes, well, I'm not sure if the weapons are character specific, but you do get 3 pistols, or not 3 pistols, you get 3 rifles and guns in this sort of dark navy blue colour. So you get like, I think it's a submachine gun, a rifle, and this kind of revolver like pistol. They have basic paint apps. There's just the blue plastic with a bit of black on it, and for the pistol there's a bit of brown, And then there's this green rifle, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be Jonesy's, because there's like a peg here on it, and it pegs into his back a lot easier than any of the other onto any of the other characters. So you have that. Jonesy has the exact same articulation, but he can do his arms up just as high as, well, nearly as high as Teknique. He has a rotation all the way around. He has a hinge in the neck. He can look back that much and down that much. His neck isn't too much hindered with the scarf as Raven's is. You have the single jointed elbows in the single jointed elbow, which doesn't get quite a 90-degree bend. You have a rotation in the elbow, and you have rotation in the wrist, hinge in the wrist, foot pegs, seated position as well, rotation in the thigh, double jointed knees again, hidden behind the actual kind of boot covering or the knee covering, and you have the rocker joints, which are really cool on this guy. He does hold all the weapons quite nicely. You can get some two-handed poses as well with him, so you can get a couple of two-handed poses as well. So I'm just going to move the camera so you can see the actual building sets. So I just basically did a bit of a mess around and just connected pieces as much as I could, so you can see that one there. And then this one is just more of the square block kind of house type thing that they show on the cover of the box. And then just for a size comparison, just tilt the camera down a touch. So I'm just going to bring in this is one of the Dollar General Cobra Troopers, which is basically the 50th anniversary, or the Pursuit of Cobra style 30th anniversary, Cobra Trooper. And I have the 50th version of Shipwreck here. So you can see the scale. So they scale up quite nicely. Just bring down Teknique and take her off her base. So you can see I think she's the only female character, possibly. Oh no, there's the weird character in the kind of cute teddy bear outfit as well. So cute club commander or something she's called. So you have her. She stands. They're a bit more. Proportions seem to be a little bit more bulky and kind of more cartoonish, but the actual overall look looks really good. They do stand quite well next to G.I. Joe's. There is Omgea next to them. So for kind of a more bulky armoured guy, he looks pretty good. And there is Raven. Again, he's more bulky and more armoured than a standard G.I. Joe from the looks of him. He has a lot more kind of gear on. And then Carbide, which kind of reminds me a lot of the stealth suit Iron Man's, except with a kind of face kind of reminds me a bit of Cyborg, so it's kind of a mixture of Iron Man and Cyborg, or you could just say he looks more like Cyborg, but overall he looks really cool. But the building sets are quite nice. I won't display how they connect together, but you basically just click them into place and you can just take them apart. I will say they are quite tough to click into place, so they can be a bit tricky. So overall, not too bad. Great figures. I do recommend picking them up. Hopefully the video isn't too blurry, because I'm trying to showcase these guys off, but they are pretty good. I do recommend picking them up. I know that which one is it again? The Raptor one seems to be quite hard to get at the moment, because I think he's the most popular one. But overall, the other sets are pretty good as well. So there you go, guys. Just a quick video review for the new Jazwares 4-inch line of figures for Fortnite. Again, as I said, I don't know anything much about the game. I've seen people kind of playing it on videos where like stuff happens that are like on was it GameSprout videos, where they show stuff like 1 in a million shots kind of thing from across a map kind of stuff. But Other than that, I don't know much about the game other than it looks like a kind of over the shoulder third person shooter that you have to build stuff, and basically it's whoever's living at the last wins the game or wins the match. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video review, and I hope you enjoyed my videos. And as I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Cheers, guys.